my congratulations to you. You're awarded the prize of the Best Singer of the Year by Oper magazine.
Thank you very much.
You are the Des Grieux of our time, one can say. You're praised by everybody for this. And it seems as if this role was very important to you. Why
Yes.
Massenet and especially Des Grieux an important role for you?
Well, it was a bit of a surprise because I knew I wanted to sing it, but when I began to work on it very, very seriously, very deeply, with really going through the text, going through the music, I really saw that today where my voice is quite ideal to serve the role of Des Grieux, as I'm trying to use all the possible colors I have in my voice, for the mixed voice, for the forte, for everything that is there in the score. At the moment where I am today, I feel that my voice is able to serve the role very well, and also emotionally, it is a very particular role for me. I debuted Manon in Bordeaux. I sang it after at the Opéra National de Paris, and it was two very intense experiences for me. So I really realized while working on it in Bordeaux and also after in Paris in the new production of Vincent Huguet, that there was really something very close to my nature, also very close to my vocal identity that goes with the music. And that was a quite nice surprise, but fantastic experimentation for me and for my voice. Unfortunately, now I'm supposed to sing it in Zurich, but the production is cancelled due to the COVID and the regulation in Switzerland. So it's a bit of a shame, but I hope it will come back very soon and that I will be able to sing this role. But I really feel that every time I have the chance to sing it, I discover something new about it. Discover something new about my way to sing it, and it's really an amazing role. I hope I will. I will do everything to keep this role in my repertoire as long as possible.
Other than Werther, Massenet was gone from the opera schedules for a very long time, and it seems as if he was rediscovered now. You're also singing a lot of not only Des Grieux, of the other French repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to be French, to do it idiomatically?
I think it's important because I tend to really be the most precise possible with the texts, with how the diction is understood or can be understood by the audience, but also tasting every words in my mouth in a very particular way, because there is not only one way to sing French, there are many ways to sing French, but with my physiology, with my voice, with the way I want to sing it, it kind of works. And of course, being French and Swiss and having, French is my mother tongue, so it's a particular thing for me to sing it. Also, just important to say, until a few years ago, singing in French was not really comfortable for me. I didn't really like it. I had to wait until my voice was more able to handle technical things in the high notes, in the medium, and many aspects of my voice were not really ready to sing French as I sing it today. So it was also a matter of timing with my voice to be able to produce and to give to the audience my version of the role of Des Grieux, but also the rest of the roles like Faust, like Romeo and Juliet that I will sing soon. Werther and Hoffmann are in preparation now. So these are very important things that maybe years ago I would not have been able to deliver the way I deliver today, because the French diction and how precise I am with it is very important to me. Even when I sing some melodies, French melodies, it's a very important thing for me to keep the musicality, to keep the line, to keep the elegance of the line, but also be extremely precise with the text, because also my physiology, my voice allows me to be as precise as I can be. It's not perfect, but I try to really tend to this really good diction of the French language.
Hoffmann, you mentioned, Hoffmann is quite a lot heavier as a role than what you've been singing. Yes.
No, not really. Actually, Hoffmann is a long, I mean, it's not my opinion because it depends on the Hoffmann you sing. I would not sing the Urtext version of Hoffmann because this is quite a suicidal jump. But for me, my first Hoffmann will have to be a big negotiation of the cuts. And also, let's not forget that if the cuts are well done, there is not as much singing, more singing than, for example, Des Grieux. Des Grieux is a lot of singing. And Hoffmann, if there are the good cuts, if some arias or some duets are not done the entire version, but cut in the middle, or some extra pieces that Offenbach had in case also for this some versions don't have to be integrated in the opera. These things that could be added are a real killer. But let's say the first act, the prelude, the first act of Hoffmann is not heavy. Olympia is not heavy. It begins really to be heavy with Antonia and Giulietta, and this is. But if it's this in this order, like first act, then Olympia, and then Antonia and Giulietta, there is a good progression for the warming up of the voice, and that I am sure I don't go too far too soon, too early in the opera, in the performance. And I think Hoffmann is a long night, is a very long performance. It's a lot of singing, but Nemorino is too. It's a lot of singing. Duca di Mantova is too, and there are some quite heavy things also in these operas. But Hoffmann, the problem is that there is no one version. There are so many different possible versions given by dramaturge or conductors or stage directors who want this particular version of this particular version, which makes Hoffmann difficult to put in a box because there are many different Hoffmann. The Hoffmann version at the Opéra de Paris from Bob Carson is a very friendly production, a very friendly version. The same in Zurich, but I saw some other productions where the Hoffmann is singing all the time, and I think eventually I would like to be able to do that. But to begin with this role, I'd rather go on a safe, not safe, but something that I can sing without being afraid of burning myself too early.
About burning oneself too early, you're now, it seems, at every big house. You're very much on demand in the international opera world, but you have been around quite a number of years. You've done, let's call it the slow lane of preparation. Can one say so?
Yeah, I've been there for a while. I mean, I arrived in Zurich in the Opern studio exactly 11 years ago. And of course, there was a lot of frustration because when I arrived in the ensemble here, it was the time of Alexander Pereira with his amazing ensemble. I mean, I was the tenor number, maybe, I don't know, 8, 9. There were so many great tenors. I mean, Jonas Kaufmann was a resident, Piotr Bechala, Vittorio Grigolo, Camarena, even though we don't sing the same repertoire, but it was, I had no chance to sing big roles, but I had a chance to be frustrated and sing smaller roles where I could really see that I could make an impact, I could tell something. And then things came after. I would say 5 years ago was a big turn for my career as I began to sing Rodolfo in La Bohème, Alfredo in La Traviata, Lenski in Eugène Onegin. And these things, I think, came at the right time. I would have liked to sing them before. I think my ego wanted to sing them before. My musicality, my hunger for singing more was there. But I don't think that I was able mentally and vocally to handle it. And so in a way, it's also maybe a message for young singers that there is a difference between what we want and what we think we can sing and the reality, because the stage is a big professor. It's the biggest professor I had is the stage. And it taught me a lot of things, a lot of frustration, a lot of fears also, because sometimes you're in the middle of the production and a performance and you feel tired and you have to handle it. You have to technically be smart and have a strategy. And for me, in this case, these past years where I could finally bloom and begin to sing big roles came at the right time. And before, it's a good thing that people did not offer me two big roles, and that I did not accept too many of these big roles because I think that would have been dangerous for my voice. And yeah, I've been there for quite a while, I have to say. It's been 10 years that I'm on the stage of Zurich, Opéra de Lyon, La Monnaie de Bruxelles, Opéra de Paris has been 5 years now. But just gradually, slowly, step by step, I made my little place in the world of opera and the world of tenors by singing very different things. My debut at the Opéra de Paris was Flamand in Capriccio, which was an amazing experience. I sang Matteo in Arabella. I sang Eric in Hollander in Dresden, which was an amazing experience too. And that was not as dangerous as people think, but it's a thing that I keep for the future also. But I had fantastic experience singing a lot of different things in different languages that allowed me to really have a tour a bit of what is in the repertoire and where I want to go.
Of course, Eric leads me to the question. You sing a lot of Italian and a lot of French repertoire. How's your interest in the German repertoire?
Well, I think the problem in the German repertoire from my type of voice is that there is a gap between Tamino, let's say, and Eric or Lohengrin, or maybe others, maybe Max in Freischütz. There is a bit of a gap. You don't have the equivalences in the German repertoire of Duca di Mantova, Rodolfo, Nemorino. I mean, you have to search to find them because there are a lot of operettas. Das Land des Lächelns is a possibility. There is, but in the big repertoire that is played, the German repertoire is mainly about Mozart. It's mainly about you have Freischütz, you have the Strauss, you have the Wagner, and these are quite heavy operas. But to give an example about Eric, that was very interesting, is that I think mentally and psychologically, people tend to think that if you touch Wagner, you go in the direction of a heavy Heldentenor, and I don't think this is the right way to think, because Eric was a very good teacher for me. First, the two arias of Eric are absolutely not heavy. They are written in such a bel canto way. It's bel canto in German, and the only thing that is really heavy is the terzett, the trio at the end of the opera, yes, with the Hollander and the soprano, but the rest of the opera is not much more risky or violent than some parts of Traviata or Bohème or Nemorino or Duca di Mantova. So I think also maybe there is a thing about the mentality. People think that if you touch something, you cannot go back. You cannot come back to other repertoire. It's a bit of a shame because I would like to sing Eric, but I know that there is, if I sing Eric, I send a message in the opera world. So for now, there is a break of the German repertoire in opera. I mean, I would love to sing Flamand in Capriccio again, but it's not often done. And I know that in a few years from now, some roles like Max in Freischütz and Das Land des Lächelns, if it's possible, and Eric in Hollander will come back. And I will be more ready, more able to handle these roles than now. Now, I think it's the time really for me to first enjoy, but also discover a lot about the repertoire that I have at my disposal. And it's quite a big repertoire in French, Italian, also Russian. So there is no rush. And I think there will be a time, of course, I would love to sing more Strauss and Wagner and German repertoire, of course.
Even for us, the journalists, of course, the COVID crisis affected our lives. No opening nights to report and to review and to criticize.
Yeah.
Obviously, for you, for the singers, it's even harder. How did you deal with this from spring 20 until now? And what's the perspective for you?
Well, I think I was one of the very lucky ones. First, it stopped when I was singing Des Grieux in Manon at the Opéra de Paris, so we had at least 2 performances. And then I had projects. My chance is that as I have a career and as I have a perspective for the next years, I have a lot of things to prepare. And then end of June, July, and August, I had recitals with the Medici, with Deutsche Grammophon, at the Salzburger Festspiele. And then in September, I sang La Traviata in Bordeaux. So I was very lucky to have these projects, to be able to perform in front of audiences and to still have sort of exercise my mind to performances. I know some singers who stopped singing maybe in December 2019, and their next performance is maybe in January or February. So they have more than a year of not performing. I mean, they can train as much as they want, but the fact that we are not rehearsing to perform on stage is quite, I would say, annoying, because we lose a bit of the stress that brings this world of opera. This, our job, our work is really to have this balance between calming down and then having the adrenaline of the performances. This is missing for a lot of singers. I'm lucky to have some perspectives and some performances coming too. So it was annoying, but also it was an opportunity for me to first rest my voice in a very good, proper way, which we never really have the time to, and also to begin to prepare a lot of things, to prepare a new program for recitals, to prepare roles like La Damnation de Faust, like Hoffmann, like Romeo and Juliet, like other projects that I have. So for me, I have this carrot in front of me because I have projects in the next years, which means I am a very lucky person and very lucky artist. What is concerning is the younger generations of singers and artists who are getting out of opera studios or even conservatoriums. And for them, the perspectives are really limited, if not inexistent. And this is what I would really like to remind the opera directors and the sponsors, private sponsors, to keep giving a space and also opportunities to young singers, because I am afraid that we might lose not a whole generation, but a part of a generations of artists that will have to choose between eating and performing. And I can imagine that at some point people have to eat and have to make a choice, and singing or playing violin or piano or even work in an opera when there is nothing to do, there is no job, is just a luxury they cannot afford, and they would prefer to go for eating and surviving. And this is a big thing in the opera world. In Europe, I have the feeling that we are quite lucky. When I see the situation in the United States and other countries, I'm really afraid for this young generation, between 20 and 30 years old. And without forgetting that before that, there are young people who are interested in music. They want maybe one day to be a singer or a violinist or a pianist. And if there is no job, if there is no possibility for them to even try to go on stage, we might lose more than one generation of artists, and this might be a huge problem. So I want to remind that I did a recital in Paris with the project Momentum from Barbara Hannigan, who is really trying to push singers with a career to invite young artists to perform with them, to give them a chance to sing. I had the possibility to do that in Paris with Florie Valiquette, who is a young Canadian soprano. And I know that this project is working very well. A lot of people are doing this. And I think it's very important that we do not forget the younger generation, that opera directors take more chances on double cast, triple cast, to give chances to younger artists just to have one chance on stage. Because there is going to be a lot of traffic, a lot of push to have work. And I think it's important for us singers with a career, but also for the people deciding, like casting directors and opera directors, that we need today to really think about all the generations of artists that needs to survive.
Mm.
Sorry if my answer was a bit too long.
No, absolutely right. My partner is the head of the Opera Academy in Amsterdam, and that's exactly the problem the young singers there are facing, who are leaving university now at that point, and who are really quite frustrated, obviously, when they're very young and the career hasn't started. And of course, even the most talented ones are thinking about alternative. Also, I think I also talked with an agent here in Germany who said, well, it's not only young careers or the career of some young singers is not going to start, but it's also a case that many careers will end earlier.
Yeah.
Than
some modest careers are unfortunately going to stop earlier than expected, because less job, less opportunities, less possibilities. It forces people to reinvent themselves. So for some people, it's an opportunity to begin to teach, to do projects, to make projects with young singers, and to think, okay, I won't sing as much as I thought, so let's do something else. But I really hope that most of these people will stay in the opera world and in the musical world to give to the younger generation what they can give. But also these people have to survive financially. They need to eat, and for that we all have now to be as much as possible very how to say, to work in as a big team. I know it's very naive to think like this, but I really hope it's possible, and I really hope that, again, I think there are a lot of opera houses that, and I understand why, do only one cast for 7 or 8 performances. And I think that it would be also, these are opportunities to share a bit more and to give younger singers, and also not only young singers, but also singers who have already a career but don't have these opportunities to also sing. So I don't know how it can be organized. I don't know. I'm not a casting director, and I would not like to be doing their job now, because it's very difficult. Because casting directors and opera directors have to audition still young singers. But what can they do if they have no roles to give, no project? This is really a big problem, and I really hope this situation will get better as soon as possible. That some careers will be able to be saved